Hey guys, and welcome back to my weekly reading vlog where I come on the camera every time I finish a book and give you my thoughts and feelings about it and then let you know what I'm going to be reading next. And I have finished Shadow Study by Maria V. Snyder, the first book in the Soulfinder trilogy and the fourth book in the Study series. So this book follows Yelena and her significant other, Valak, as they try to prevent a war between their countries, because they are from different countries. And I did not enjoy this. So this is actually a reread, and I must have really loved it. The first time I read this was 5 years ago, and I really, really liked it. And then I read it this time, and I really, really did not. I think I have missed the boat on this series. However, there were other issues with it besides just the fact that it's not to my tastes anymore. And I found three main issues. The first is actually just how it's written. So we change perspectives, which is okay, except it's a little rigid. So we go from Yelena to Valak to a third perspective, Jenko, and then Yelena, Valak, Jenko, Yelena, Valak, Jenko. And each chapter ends on a cliffhanger, which normally you would want to continue reading to see that resolution. However, knowing you have to get through 2 chapters to get to the resolution is really annoying because, oh, by the way, all 3 of those characters are doing completely separate things for themselves, from each other. And so it's not like usually when you have differing perspectives or very rigid kind of perspective changes like that, it's generally people who are together, so we're just seeing different perspectives on the same events, and that's just not what we got in here. So honestly, what ended up happening is I put down the book for some reason, and it would be a cliffhanger, and I'd be really intrigued by the cliffhanger, but then when I went to pick it back up, I was like, oh, I just don't care, because I'm going to have to get through 2 chapters to get to that resolution anyway. And it just didn't work so well. Secondly, we did get a lot of really interesting backstory on Valak. However, it was drawn out. It really was just, it could have been cut down so much, honestly. And the transitions into these memory sequences where we got the backstory were actually very terribly done. It was some of the worst writing in this book. It's not what I have come to expect from Maria V. Snyder. And so it was very jarring, and it bothered me every single time. And then lastly, actually there's 4 things. So number 3 of 4 is that generally speaking, when I have a trilogy, I do like for there to be an overarching plot, which this definitely has. However, I also like each individual book in the series to have a strong independent storyline that can be in service of the overarching plot, but needs to be resolved by the end of the book, and that is not what we got here. We got a lot of problems, and then we came to a resting point, and that's really where this book ended. And honestly, it was just in service of the overarching plot. It just did not do anything independent for itself, which I just generally don't like. And then lastly, how we ended this particular book, I did not appreciate, and kind of flies in the face of what we know about these characters, and also set up for the ending of the trilogy that I knew I wasn't going to enjoy as much. And because I had those suspicions when I finished, I actually went ahead and read the last chapter of Dawn's Study, which is the 3rd book in this trilogy. And I was completely correct. Where these characters go in their life, I absolutely predicted, and I did not appreciate because I did not necessarily feel like it fit their characters. And also in reading that chapter, I learned a couple other things that happened that I have other implications that I also do not appreciate. And so it was one of those things where it's like, I didn't enjoy the first book, and then no, I don't know exactly what the end problem is or the resolution or anything like that, but I don't like some of the main events that are going to crop up along the way. And so with that, I have just decided that I am going to DNF this series. It's leaving my house. Just if I am not saying 100% that I will never finish this series, I'm saying like I'm 99% sure I'm never going to. And in the event that I do decide that I do want to finish it, I will just get it from my library. But in reality is that I'm probably never going to read it because it just made me so mad. So it's going to go ahead. This trilogy is just going to go ahead and leave my house. And so in the meantime, I guess now I am going to be focusing on Windburn by Shannon Mayer, the fourth book in the Elemental series, where in this book in this series, Lark is off searching for a missing person. And that storyline I am enjoying. Again, we are finding out more information about this world, which is really nice. However, the romantic storyline is more prominent in this book than I was hoping for, honestly. And so it's not terrible, but it's not great. It's not what I'm generally looking for. And so it's okay. And so it kind of got downgraded to this is fine instead of I'm loving this. The main storyline, though, I am still enjoying, and I'm just hoping that the romance will kind of resolve itself soon, and then I can go back to just straight up loving the story, the main fantasy storyline. But in the meantime, I am also going to pick up Heroine Worship by Sarah Kuhn. This is the second book in the Heroine Complex series. This book is following Aveda Jupiter, who is a superhero, and she is very much used to being like the beloved superhero of San Francisco. And then another superhero showed up, and San Francisco likes her a lot better. And Aveda can't really say much about it because it's her best friend. So the city to some extent has turned upon her because she has always been a diva. There is actually no supernatural events that have been happening, so she's very bored. And like just people in general she's having to, she was a diva and now she has to deal with the fallout from her behavior. And it's just, her life kind of sucks. And then her best friend gets engaged. And so Aveda just throws herself into wedding planning. And then things, of course, start going really, really wrong. I have read 50 pages of this already because I started it in March. And then April rolled around with the OWL readathon, and so I put it back down so that I could really focus on the readathon. And now I'm finally picking it back up. And I did really enjoy this. I am really excited to see Aveda kind of turn around into a more lovable character. In the first book, she was a bit of an antagonist. And so this is her redemption story, I do believe. And so I'm very excited to see that. So yeah, I will probably be alternating chapters between Heroine Worship and Windburn like I have been because my attention span is just shot. So, but that's it, you guys. So until next time, bye. Hey guys, it is time for my end of the week update. Now, last clip I said I'm going to focus on Windburn by Shannon Mayer. And I did not do that at all. I read absolutely nothing of Windburn by Shannon Mayer. And that's mostly because I just did not want to deal with this silly romantic storyline. Normally I'm not a mood reader, but I just did not. I could not do it right now. So I just put it aside. And instead I was like, fine, I'll focus on the other book I said I was going to read, Heroine Worship by Sarah Kuhn. And I am now 100 pages into this. The problem being that Aveda Jupiter, our main character, kind of is not a great person, because that's the point with a redemption story arc, is you start with somebody who's not great and then there's a redemption. But you have to deal with them in the meantime. And she is better than she was in the first book, but she's not good. Not good, you guys. And so I'm waiting for her to have her epiphany so that she can become the better person, but I'm probably going to be waiting another 100 to 150 pages. So until then, I'm just left with this kind of unpleasant character. Unpleasant to me. I think that a lot of people would be fine, but I just don't like her. I am still going to read this mostly because I do want to see how this plays out, especially because I am very interested in reading book 3, but it's just not that pleasant right now. And so because I wasn't loving that, I decided to put it aside and instead pick up Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. For anybody that doesn't know, this book is about our main character of David, and he lives in a world where the calamity appeared in the sky, and a year after that happened, people started showing up with superpowers, but they're all villains, and they are called epics, and there is only one group that fights against them, and that is the Reckoners, and David is trying to join the Reckoners because he wants to get back at the epic that killed his dad. This was a big miss for me, you guys. I DNF'd it at page 50. And it was just one of those things where it was just not very pleasant to read. Like, there was some world building stuff that I was just a little bit off. I didn't really like. And the reading itself was not great because the dialogue, like, they have made up cuss words. And I didn't realize that that's what it was, so I was very confused for a while. And then I was mad because the cuss words that Brandon Sanderson chose to use, like make up, didn't make sense and aren't good cuss words, because there is actually, like, a cuss word needs to fit a kind of specific mold for it to work the way it's intended. Anyway. And then there's only one female character that had been introduced, and of course, like, she's super hot, which we know because that's all David will say about her is she's really good with weapons and she's really hot. And that irritated me, and so I did go look at Goodreads a little bit to see what some of the 2-star reviews said, and at least with the female character, it does not get better, and the cussing does not get better. And then I kind of accidentally spoiled myself for where this book is going, and I was just like, oh, I don't care. So because it's not pleasant reading and I don't care where we're going, I'm just going to put it down. Reading's supposed to be fun, and this was not fun. And so anybody who is now losing their mind a little bit because this is where I started with Brandon Sanderson and I didn't like it, don't worry about it. Like, I know that most people don't recommend starting with this particular book, and I'm not holding it against them. I already have plans to read Mistborn. I know when I'm going to read it, so I'll judge them after Mistborn, okay? So yeah, did not like it, did not finish it. And since I still didn't want to go back to Heroine Worship or to Windburn, I went ahead and picked up something else, and that is Dark Swan by Gena Showalter. This is a novella set in her Otherworld Assassins paranormal romance series. And I had read the first 2 books. I was eagerly awaiting the 3rd book, which it turns out is probably never going to be published. I don't know why, but it isn't. And I had picked up Dark Swan thinking it was the 3rd book, and it's not. It's a novella. But I am giving it a go anyway. Now, this is about Lilica Swan, and she is part alien and has been experimented on basically her whole life. And our main male character is Dallas, and he is a law enforcement agent of sorts. And he is going to try to use Lilica to draw out her sister, who is wreaking havoc on all sorts of people. And it is paranormal romance, so they're going to get together because that's what happens. And I'm actually intrigued. I am now 40 pages into this, and it's actually really good. Like, I really like Gena Showalter's writing for paranormal romances. I did recently read a young adult book by her that I did not like, but her paranormal romance stuff really does draw me in. I think she's got a really nice voice. She does tend a little bit more, or the ones that I've read have trended more towards the steamy side of things, which doesn't bother me, but just a heads up. But yeah, like I said, I've read about 40 pages and I've really enjoyed it. And so I'm going to go ahead and finish it. Yeah, there you go. That's it. That's all I have to say about it. This week, again, it's been a little funky. I kind of just ignored the books that I said I was going to read, picked up a different one that I DNF'd, and picked up a different one that I thought I was not going to like, and then actually am now enjoying. So it's a weird week. But that's all I got, you guys. So until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.